we studied. I would say as late as Friday, Spags, I'd say we probably, what, an hour and a half or 2 hours on this player. We thought that it was a guy who would be there for us. Height, weight, speed, the kind of guy that we're looking at our defensive system. We love his tenacity. We know he's raw, he's got to be coached. But that's the fun part. He fits the character of our football team. He's got good work habits. We love his resiliency. I think everybody kind of knows about his story. He was a JC transfer that couldn't qualify at LSU, stayed out of school for a year, worked at DirecTV, and then went to Canada and played, and then qualified for the NFL draft. So, man, we're excited about having this kid. It's a big body player. Me and Spags are happy Sean's not here because we probably have an offensive player. So hey, we can't help with everybody this year and got a defensive player, and so we're excited. Questions?
You say he's a raw player. How long do you anticipate him being able to have an impact on your defense?
Well, hey, listen, I don't have a crystal ball. He passes the eyeball test, he passes the commitment test, he passes the resiliency test. He wants to be a good football player. So we're going to integrate him in and see how long it takes.
Do you guys see him in person at all?
Absolutely. Combine. Sure.
Yeah, just the combine.
There are a few players that he stood out on. Was there a decision for him and a couple of guys?
Well, there's always a couple there. And, Mickey and Rick tossed around a couple of things, but when it was all said and done, Akiem stuck out. Pretty glad we done.
What you're pretty much focused on defense for this game?
I wasn't necessarily see. I mean, we were, but I mean, we could have gone either way. I'm glad that it went this way. Joe and I.
You know, we try to get a group of players that we felt would be there at this time of draft. And I know you're not going to believe me, you think I'm making it up, but he was at the top of the list on the board where it was our pick. And if he wasn't there, Mickey was entertaining some phone calls to move down. But this is the player that we coveted, the one that we wanted. We studied the most on Friday, and it worked out well.
I think Mickey mentioned the other day that a lot of the guys who we thought would be there were a lot of defensive names.
How much did, I guess, maybe some competition losing Sean Rogers signing elsewhere and Breo Franklin as a defensive tackle maybe being a need? I mean, was that a way to look at it or no?
I mean, I don't know. Mickey's been through this a long time. Rick has too. I mean, I don't think you just go based on need. I mean, we did sign Bunkley this past year. We brought Bunkley, and we certainly enjoyed. Glad we have him there, Cedric, a bunch of guys. But I think Akeem's the kind of guy that's got to come in here, like Joe has said, is raw. He's played a different caliber of football, so it's going to take him a little while. It'll be a little bit of a learning curve. In the meantime, I think we've got guys there to help us out.
Did he play East-West game?
Yes, dominated. Played really well. Threw some bodies around him, and I think that's where Jim, people really started to notice this guy. They're all pass rushing ability, the feet, the hands. When you're getting ready in the third round, you love to get a guy that's got some redeeming qualities of greatness that you could work with. And you can't coach size and quickness, and what this kid is on the hoof. And we're excited about it.
When you looked at all the film on him, his strength as an inside pass rusher stand out.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and again, we're talking about a different level of football. I think he said to us, it's like Division II football. I mean, he even said that at the combine. That was his comment. Don't quote me on that. You guys will get to ask him when he comes here. But he played inside and outside. And I even, going through the notes I just had, I recognize a little bit of edge rush. Now, I don't know if that's going to correlate to edge rush in the NFL. But certainly, I think he could be an inside rusher on third down. We'll see where he develops as a first and second down tackle or end. But we'll get him in here soon enough, and we'll figure out what to do.
How tough was it maybe to sit on your hands, when the second round is there, and you guys contemplate trying to jump?
Mickey took all kind of phone calls. Mickey's always going to make the best decision for our football team and not mortgage the future. And, we had a group of players that we thought would be there at 3, and they did start to dwindle, but the top guys that we, coveted were still there. And so it was kind of a slam dunk for us. I mean, this was a consensus of the room.
What was his reaction to coming here to New Orleans?
It's hard to tell when you're talking, Jeff, but I think he had a tear in his eye. He was great. He was with his family. He was great.
That's what makes the night special.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about some of the, you said you spent a couple hours looking at tape. Talk a little bit about his tape, because I know it's a bit limited, isn't it?
It's hard. I think somebody mentioned on TV, one of the...
Maybe I said it.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. And you got to dig, and that's what the scouts did, and that's how this guy comes to Joe and I originally, and then we sit there and do the same thing. You know, the level of the camera's not the same, but all in all, when you watch him and see the things that he does, there's a great deal of potential there. Gary, he's a big physical football player. Bill Johnson, Travis Jones will get him in here, and we'll work him, get him in good.
It seems like this team has a vast history of finding guys at small universities. I mean, I guess that probably played into your decision-making.
You know, I think this, I think there's some teams that may not want to draft guys from smaller schools, and we're not scared of that. You know, Jari Evans, Jamal Bushride. And so we just stick to the discipline of the board, and this is where we had this player rated. Jim, like you said, the East-West Shrine game was huge. He had a good combine, and so it was there, and it was what it was.
Both of you guys have been in the NFL a long time. You find this has been more active trading than past draft, recent draft?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I think that's a direct result of the fact that the rookie grade skills. You can see that a lot yesterday.
Were you guys able to, when you researched him, talk to LSU about what they saw in him when they recruited him?
Our scouts and Bill Johnson did, and the character of the kid is great. You know, we talked about his resiliency, you know, his want to stay in football. You know, he's out of LSU, and he goes to a junior college, he's at LSU, then he goes out of football for a year, working at DirecTV, then goes up to Canada to play. You gotta have some want to go take the trail that this kid's taking. I think that's pretty impressive.
In an oh-so-quick Google search, there's something about a swim and grip move of his. Do you know what that is?
A lot of defensive linemen have a swim in the grip. I'm assuming he does too.
How about just the reasons that he left LSU?
Well, I think there was something about academics. I think it was something that he potentially was on campus a little bit too early. He was there to start school in the fall. I guess he wasn't supposed to be. These weren't character flaws on his part. I think there was some miscommunication. I think his transcript probably got locked up in a vault somewhere. He had to stay out of football for a year, then had to go to Canada.
I think, Alex, he said that there was a long process of filing with the NCAA, and it kind of just, he wanted to play football.
Would it be fair to say that the learning curve for defensive tackles may be a little shorter than it might be in other players at other positions on the defense?
Well, you know, hey, I'm a linebacker coach, and Spag's been a linebacker coach and a secondary coach. So if you ask us, the further you go from the ball, the smarter you have to be. So.
That's a pretty good reason, Joe.
Jim, listen, there's going to be a learning curve from the physicality standpoint, reading blocks. Hey, just get on a daily schedule in National Football League. Trying to get through training camp. Those are the challenges he has to meet, but those are the challenges that we look forward to.
Assistant head coach Joe Pitt here on WHOPPER.com.
Steve, we haven't had a lot of time to talk to you since you've gotten to see the rest of the team. What are some of your thoughts on the talent that you're going to be working with?
Well, it's hard to assess the talent. I mean, I'm relying on Joe and Bill and Travis and the other coaches around here, but I've been very impressed with how in tune these guys are at this time of the year. I mean, they came here and like sponges, willing to embrace anything that we put in. It's just been 2 weeks, the old we're in phase 1 of this off season. We'll get into phase 2 next week, but it's been great standing up here teaching them right now and the way they're sitting there absorbing. So,
what did you do in your month or two when you didn't have players to work with? Did you absorb as much film as you could, or pick the brains of guys like Bill?
well, what we did, we started this process out. We watched Saints film for the first 2 or 3 weeks, right? And just trying to pick out all the good things that they had done here. It's a beg, borrow, and steal league. We do it all the time. All the coaches do. And we tossed around a bunch of ideas, and then started to lay out the things that I've kind of been familiar with, what has been part of the package that we've run in New York and St. Louis. And we're going to mesh this thing together and hopefully come up with good ones.
You like tackles and ends being interchangeable, or having versatility?
Well, it's hard to be interchangeable tackle ends in the NFL. I mean, some of your defensive ends will slide inside on third down and be tackles. It's hard to go the other way. Well, I think we'll find the spot for a key and kind of stick them there initially. I don't know if we'll be flipping them back and forth, but we'll see.
And obviously, guys like Bunkley and Lofton, Hawthorne are top players no matter what the system is. But is there anything about those guys that something you like to do that with your defense that these guys really fit well in the newcomers?
You know, I haven't. I know we always talk about the guys that are new,
right?
But I'll be honest with you. I'm not just zoned in and focused on the new guys. There's a lot of good football players in that room and a lot of good coaches. So put our heads together and get the talent on the field. Hopefully, put together.
Is it unlikely he would get some early reps as a nose tackle?
We don't have a quote-unquote nose tackle. We'll start this thing out with a right and a left defensive tackle. So he'll be on one side or the other. We'll approach it that way. We'll see where his best abilities are.
What's he played in college and
Yeah.
both, right? But he's
Consider-
kind of big for
And
the outside.
yeah, in a lot of ways, he's a big man. But in the playing up in there, and again, the level is different. He kind of got away with playing outside.
Can you guys just take us inside the room a little bit? I think you waited 27 hours
We
since,
didn't count.
since the
Take your
draft
word for it.
began. But I mean, just kind of, what was that process like? Are you just taking names off the board and?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mickey's entertaining phone calls to move up, to move down. I mean, this is a fun time of the year for us. We're watching new rookies come into the league, trying to match them up with the teams they're going with, and how they would fit into those schemes. I mean, this is a fun time of the year. So, I mean, you know, hey, listen, we'd much rather be picking in the first and second round, although we have a pretty good first round pick with Mark Ingram. We'd like to have our second round pick, but I mean, this is a fun time of the year.
Hey, Joe, last year, the total number of tackles by the Saints, and the total number of sacks by the Saints defensive tackles was 1.5. Is that acceptable? Is that one of the reasons this kid's coming in?
You know, again, we took the best player on the board. Our tackles know they've got to perform better. We think we've got a really good player, not a great player in Cedric Ellis. And we'll have improved play from that position. And again, this was the best player. And when it got down, Mickey turned to Spags, and we all agreed on this on Friday. Spags, we all agreed on it, man. This was the guy.
You know what would be interesting, Jim, is, and I don't have this stat in my head, but to know, what fourth-year team, what the numbers were for inside tackles. It's tough for inside tackles on the first and second down to get 3 sacks from inside. I hope we do it, but it is hard.
Did y'all have them rated just a
Isn't that
little higher
Coach Joe?
than here, or is he
He's
slotted about?
Magnolia here on WWLA.
Where we ended up taking them?
Yeah.
That's about right.
Right, about
Yeah,
right.
it was about right.
You know, we had a group of players stacked, and we thought we'd have a chance if he was at the very top of the list. And, you know, Mickey had some phone calls and entertained to move him down, and Mickey said, listen, we'll move down if he gets picked before us, and he felt us, and we took him.
I got one more, I guess.
Way out, huh?
Although he, we're referring to him as a small school guy because of his playing experience, the fact that he was recruited to the SEC, which sends a lot of good linemen to the NFL, I guess shows that people saw that potential in him a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, that'd be correct. For some teams, I forget the whole conversation when we were talking with the combine, but I know coming out of high school, he had some opportunities. And then a couple of things happened with a different man out there.
Can you address where the priorities are going into tomorrow at all?
Joe?
You know, again, the best player. And that's what we've kind of done here. It just so happens that this was somewhat of a need, but I mean, we're going to stick to the discipline of the board. And if we like that player, like we think we will, we'll stay there. If not, Mickey will entertain some phone calls, but we're going to think the best players going to be best for our football team.
And Steve, I know Joe was just asked about number of sacks last year and obviously number of turnovers too. Do you feel like that's something that needs to be a talent upgrade, or do you see that the guys here, tweaks here and there in this scheme, you feel like this is a team that can be disruptive and cause turnovers?
Well, this defense here traditionally in New Orleans has been a disruptive defense. I've seen that in the years I've been in the league. I don't get too wrapped up in stats, but I do know, and we all recognize that one of the stats that directly relates to winning and losing more than anything is turnovers, takeaways and giveaways. So that's always a focus. I know it's always been here. It'll continue to be. And I remember Jim Johnson saying this at one time, really with these turnovers, sometimes they come in bunches one way or the other. And hopefully we've saved them all up and we'll get them this year.
Do you expect him to come in and create some depth, or do you expect him to come in and create competition?
I would say a little bit of both. Probably depth first. And then when he gets his feet underneath him and gets used to the speed of the game, which probably won't even happen until we get to a preseason game. We're scared.
Is Greg Rungus healthy now?
I think he's getting there, but
Well, he's close.
Yeah.
He's had a great offseason. 2 days ago, I saw him out back running the hills. And I tell you what, he has put in the time. He's been dedicated. He's worked hard with the trainers. Now he's in the strength program. we're excited about this player now. We really are. We really are. We got a glimpse of him last year when he was on PUP and watched him practice a little bit, participated in our practices, and we're excited about this player.
Joe, we talked to you about it the other day, but how tough is it going through the draft and not knowing about who's going to be suspended for how long?
You know, again, that's hypothetical. We're going to play that hand when we get to it. You know, we go on guessing and speculating we want. We're not going to know until it's handed down, if it's handed down.
If you had to guess, what would Sean's reaction be to this pick?
Oh, that's why we came together. You look at TV right now, he's mad.
He's not allowed to watch it.
Watching. No, hey, listen, you know, at the end of the day, Mickey and Sean have really developed this system of grading that we have for our college prospects, and we've stuck to the discipline of the board just like Sean and Mickey always have. It wasn't a reach. It came right down to what we wanted and what we thought might be there, and that's what happened.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, wraps up from St. Camp here.